Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today's reading is going to be a life balance check-in. And the way that we're doing this is we're looking at the 5 areas of life that need to stay balanced in order for you to be happy, healthy, optimistic, just enjoying life in general. And so those 5 areas that we're going to be looking at here today are the emotional area of your life, the spiritual area of your life, your physical health, your occupational, like your career, how you're doing mentally with your career, your social life, and finally, your intellectual pursuits. So the way that we're doing this is, like I said, we're looking at how you're doing in each of these areas of life. Are you happy with them? Are you feeling balanced? Or maybe do they need some improvement? And then beneath those cards that we get out, we're going to be looking at how can you improve these areas of your life? How can you set some goals or reclaim balance with these different areas of life? And so what this is going to show us as a whole is, how are you doing overall as a person? And then we're also going to see, what areas of life are you really excelling at? Are you feeling really great and balanced in? And what are some areas of life that maybe need a little bit of improvement, maybe need a little bit of extra guidance or, extra motivation to help improve those areas. So that is what we're going to be doing here today. I have 3 different readings for you to choose from. We have pile 1 with the green aragonite, pile 2 with the black tourmaline, and pile 3 with the labradorite. So go ahead and pause, figure out which pile you feel most drawn to. There will be timestamps in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, pile 1. If you're drawn to the green aragonite, then this is the reading for you. And as you can see, we have a lot of cards to get through. But I have some notes here so I don't lose track of what they all mean. But in the intro, I kept saying the 5 areas of balance. There's actually 6, and I realized that halfway through getting out your cards, I was like, oh my god, I missed one. Anyways, starting off, we're going to start with how are you doing emotionally? Now, it actually seems like you're not doing too bad. You have here the Fool card and the Disruption card. The Fool is all about being carefree, being spontaneous, jumping from one new thing to the next. I'm filming this in springtime. I don't know when you're watching this, but often around spring and summer, the sun starts coming out, people start going outside more. Of course, this is if you live in the same hemisphere as me. It could be a completely different time for you. But it just feels like there's a lot more spontaneity happening. Like maybe you're hanging out more with friends or seeing family more often. I know Easter just passed. I don't know if you celebrate Easter or not, but it could be a time that you got together with family. And so you just feel like you're bouncing around to a lot of new things. But the Disruption card below is how can we improve this area of our life? The thing that comes with spontaneity is sometimes it can go hand in hand with recklessness. And so I would kind of urge you, if you don't really have a concrete plan of where your life is going right now, I'm not saying that you need one, but oftentimes when we're being overly spontaneous, it can feel like we're a little bit untethered, we're a little bit ungrounded, especially if you feel like you're just kind of like waking up at any old time and bouncing around from one thing to the next. It can make you kind of look around and you're like, what day of the week is it? And like I said, this isn't necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, but if it starts to make you feel like ungrounded or like you're like, I don't really feel like in tune with time or just feel untethered, the best thing that you could do for yourself is kind of like, okay, let's disrupt this spontaneity. Let's continue doing things that make us feel happy. Let's continue to be carefree and go after what we want. But let's also give this a little bit more structure so that we can be a little bit more grounded, so we can be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? So we can have more intention behind what we're doing. I think that is what's missing here is the intention. When I look at the Fool card, it's got a lot of great aspects of like carefree and spontaneity and bouncing around, but there's not a lot of intention behind where you're going. And sometimes we can get off track of like where we want our goals to be or what direction we're trying to go in life. But like I said, you're doing great in the emotional aspect of your life. I feel like that's just one area of improvement that there could be. And if that resonates with you, take it. If it doesn't, don't take it. It seems like emotionally you're doing pretty all right. Now next we have the spiritual aspect of your life. And for this, you got the 5 of Cups and the Mystery card. You might have gone through a loss recently or a loss of just somebody who was so important to you that it doesn't matter how long ago it was. I feel like this loss made you lose trust in the universe, or made you lose trust in God. Oftentimes I've heard people going through grief, especially people that were very religious, they ask, why would God let this happen? Or why would the universe let this happen? I feel like you're somebody who's been through a lot of hardship, even if it wasn't necessarily a loss of a person, just hardship to the point where you feel like life is kind of unfair. And I feel like I'm just going to say the universe instead of God, because that's usually what I say. Instead of the universe caring that you believe in it, or wanting you to believe in it, that's not what the universe wants. The universe wants you to be happy. And I feel like for so long, when you look at this Five of Cups, you're looking at these cups, the 3 on the ground that have fallen over. But you don't notice right behind you, there's 2 that are still upright. And the universe doesn't care if you believe or not, or if you have a faith. I personally don't believe that that's why we were put on this earth. We weren't put on this earth to believe or else fear for eternal damnation. That just doesn't resonate with me. So what I'm trying to say is, it's hard to put into words because it's like I'm half channeling, half trying to explain. The universe doesn't care about you believing in it so much as it cares about you being happy. And I feel like you felt abandoned for so long. You felt like, why should I believe in this thing if I've been handed so much hardship? If I've been handed these bad things after this bad thing, look at all the evil in the world. But the universe is kind of asking you, why don't you, instead of fixating so much on the negative, fixate on the positive? And I know that sounds basic and stupid, but truly, if you frame your entire perspective of life on just facing the negative, you'll never see the light. And the two will always exist together. I mean, as long as there is humanity, there will be good and there will be bad. But it's up to us which perspective we want to look at. If we want to look at the constant suffering, or if we want to look at the goodness in humanity. We want to look at the people that choose to be good or choose to do the right thing instead of the negative. It's kind of like, this is kind of reminding me of this thing called climate doomism, which is this idea that, climate change is a real thing. It's something that, we need to worry about how we're treating this planet because the mass of humans that are on this earth are having an impact on our environment and the world that we live in. If you choose to only focus on the negative, focus on how much waste is being dumped in the ocean, or focus on how many private jets are flying across the world, if you only focus on that, all you're going to see is, oh, this is what we should be scared of. This is the next species that's going to go extinct. This is X, Y, and Z. It only lets you focus on the doom part. But the thing about climate change is there are positive impacts happening. It's not all just doom and gloom. It's not all just going down the gutter. There are people that are actively trying to work towards caring for the environment and trying to reverse the effects of climate change. And so let that be an analogy of when you only focus on the negative, you only focus on what has gone wrong in your life, or in what ways you weren't taken care of, or in what ways, life gave you the bad karma instead of the good. Of course you're going to feel dejected. Of course you're only going to see, well, the universe doesn't care about me. I don't think that's true. I think that there is a lot to be grateful for, but it's not my place or the universe's place to make you feel grateful for it. But my goal with these cards is, when I look at this Five of Cups card, I see this guy he's so upset, he just has his eyes covered. His head is literally in his arms, and he's facing these knocked over cups. My urge to you to improve your relationship with spirituality, whatever religion or spirituality it looks like, is allow yourself to kind of lift your head up and open your eyes. And instead of just facing one direction, try to get a 360-degree view. Now, I'll leave it at that, because I'm not trying to force any beliefs on you or force any perspective. It's up to you whether you believe or not. But I feel like since these cards came out, and since you're watching a tarot reading, there has to be some part of you that wants to believe in something, or wants to have some belief that's better than the one that you currently have. And by better, I mean not so doom and gloom, not so pessimistic. I feel like a part of you wants to be more optimistic and believe in something better than just a God that doesn't care about you. So I'll leave you at that. Maybe it's time to reframe your perspective or look around at, is there a brighter side of things? Now, the next part that we have here is how you're doing physically. Now, you got the Ace of Pentacles reversed. When I look at this, especially with how the improvement card has to do with confidence, I feel like you don't feel super confident physically. And I feel like when I look at the Ace of Pentacles, this card is all about opportunity. I feel like, if I had to put this into words, you feel like as you get older, your opportunity, quote unquote, for physical attractiveness is going away. You feel like, maybe the wrinkles are coming in. I don't know what age you are, but maybe you're especially looking on TikTok at just how many people are using filters or how many people have gotten work done but won't say it. Like, there's a lot that you compare yourself to. And especially as you get older, maybe you're not as physically healthy as you used to be. I want to tell you that, just like I said about spirituality, this doesn't have to be this perspective that you have. I want to urge you, with the confidence card, this is how you improve this. Stop fixating on, or just stop in general being on social media, because Instagram, for example, that is the place where almost everybody in the world curates exactly what image they want to put out to the world. People that post on TikTok, do you think that they just picked up the phone, filmed something cutesy of themselves and posted it immediately? No. They probably stared at it really hard, added some effects to it. They probably had a bunch of other videos that they chose, and that was the one they finally landed on. And you happen upon it and you're like, God, I wish I looked like that. I wish my XYZ was smaller. I wish my nose looked that way. I wish my eyebrows were fuller. I want to urge you, instead of looking at those things, instead of comparing yourselves to others, instead of having the perspective of the older I get, the less attractive I get, I want to urge you, how can you improve your confidence right now? And I want to urge you to tackle things one-on-one. And this might get a little bit touchy for some people, because I'm not promoting anything negative. I'm not promoting you to go get work done. What I'm promoting is you being more confident. I'll give you an example of me personally. I'm somebody that's always been very, very skinny. Like, I cannot gain weight even if I tried, truly. I don't say that to brag. I just say that's how it is. I am pretty stick thin. And for a long time, the thing that was trending clothing-wise was like oversized clothes, baggy pants, and I would always wear that, and I just never really felt super confident. I'd never felt like it really looked good on me until just like, I'll say like last year, I learned about dressing for your proportions. And what that means is, instead of, like, if you look at a model at a store or something and they're wearing an outfit and you try on that outfit, it's not going to look as good on you. Not because you're less attractive than that model, but because they have different bodily proportions than you. Maybe their arms are longer, maybe their torso is longer than yours, or their legs are longer than yours. And because of that, the clothes don't sit properly. And so what I learned to do is I started dressing for my proportions. I have a bit of a longer torso, so I wear shorter shirts, for example, and I wear more high-waisted pants. Instead of wearing overly baggy clothes, I wear them with a certain cut around the arm that makes it not stand out as much how skinny my arms are. So I give you that example to show you that there are actual concrete things that you can start doing right now, aside from, looking at your weight or looking at XYZ and how do I change this part of me. Instead, change the way that your clothes look. Or if you feel like you're not super healthy stamina-wise, go do some cardio. I'm not recommending that, you start changing physical things about your body. You do whatever feels right to you. But I give you that example because there are certain things that you can just learn about, and it's like, oh, the reason I don't feel confident is just because I'm not wearing the right clothes, or I'm not holding myself the right way. I think that there's a lot that can be improved here other than just, how can I get a nose job for as cheap as possible? Like, let's not do that. Let's not jump to life-changing things just yet. Now, up next, we have your career, how you're doing career-wise. And you have the Page of Swords reversed. This, to me, kind of talks about boredom, because the Page of Swords, when it's upright, talks a lot about curiosity, being excited about, this intellectual pursuit, or wanting to get to know more about it. But I feel like you've gotten into a bit of a routine where it's just, maybe it's the same thing every day, or maybe you're not super excited about it anymore, or you feel like you've gotten to a place in your job or your career where it's just like, okay, yeah, I know it inside and out. There's nothing else to be discovered. What I want to tell you is the card that you have about how can you improve this area of your life is the Success card. Now, when I look at the Success card, it makes me think what you need career-wise is a challenge, but not just a challenge for the sake of it being hard, a challenge of something that you can actually complete and succeed at and feel like, yes, I'm actually making waves. I'm making some sort of I'm actually completing something. I'm getting something done. I'm accomplishing something. What you're lacking is a sense of accomplishment, because maybe you go in and it's the same thing every day. I'm not saying that you need to leave this job, but maybe you need to talk to your boss and say, hey, how can I start a new project or something that we can aspire to? For example, I am a marine biologist. I work in a lab. Something that my boss recently brought up is, what if, we branched off and started, I forget the word, it's like a environmental or ecological, no, it was something to do with plants. It was like, I'll just dumb it down. What if we started a plant job and you headed up that department, and it was like, maybe like coastal sagebrush or something, monitoring that, monitoring plants on the coast. I am trying my best to explain this, but I cannot for the life of me find the words. But for example, it's that kind of idea of, I work for a contracting company. That company is always looking, how do we grow? How do we get more work? What if we branched out into some sort of adjacent field, something new that you could start looking at, something new that you could start heading up or doing, and you can invite new workers on, maybe internships, and it's all about like, how can you create more challenge in your day-to-day work environment instead of just being complacent. And I don't know how permissible your work environment is. Maybe they would shut you down. I don't know. But maybe they wouldn't really listen, or they're not looking for new ideas. If that's the case, I urge you, find a different job, something that actually fulfills you. Because what would make you a lot happier is having something you can actively work on and feel like, what I'm doing matters. The work that I'm doing every day is actually accomplishing something, instead of just never really seeing the fruits of your labor. I think that is something that it would make you a lot more energized, a lot more productive, and a lot happier with what you do. Now, the next one that we have is how you're doing socially. You have the 8 of Swords reversed. When I look at this, I look at maybe you've kind of given up on working harder towards improving your social life. I feel like there's definitely parts of it that you're not completely happy with. There's parts of it that you wish could improve. Maybe it's like your friend group. You don't really get along with them as well as you used to. Or you're not really liking them as much. Or maybe people have started moving on. They have their own families. People are doing their own thing. And so now you're kind of at this point where it's kind of up to you what direction you go in next. But you've gotten to this point where you're just like, I don't really want to put in that effort. I don't really want to do all this hard work. The card that we have here for how you improve this is the Hunger card. You have to want it. You have to actively want, and you might say, well, I already want it. No, I mean, you have to want it to the point that it forces you up. For example, let's say that you don't really have as many friends as you'd like to have. And so you keep putting it off, and you're like, you know what? If I move, then I'm going to actively put work into making more friends. How about right now? You're already not super happy right now, so why don't you put the effort on yourself and say, okay, I have XYZ hobby. Let me start doing this hobby with a group of people. I don't know these people. Maybe I won't become friends with them, but I'm going to actively work towards it. It has to be something that you are hungry for. It has to be something that has a drive behind getting you out of bed and making you do this thing. Because when I look at the 8 of Swords, I look at somebody who's kind of dejected about it to the point that they're not really actively working towards it. In fact, they're quite literally tied down, not moving. So if this is something that you want, you gotta want it more. You gotta want it to the point that this desire, this drive, this hunger gets you out of bed, gets you on your feet, and actively makes you work towards making it happen. I'll point you in the direction of a podcaster, and also she's also a YouTube tarot reader. Her name is Chloe Taylor. You can find her on YouTube, or her podcast is on Spotify. But the last time I listened to her, she was talking about how to make friends as an adult. She's somebody who, she has close friends she talked about, but a lot of them are online, or a lot of them live far away, and she wanted to build a community in the town that she lives in. And she actively talks about like what her plan is, and she said she's gotten to the point that if it doesn't work out, if she puts herself out there, she starts these community gatherings and none of it works out, she says she will move. That is how determined you have to be if this is something that you really care about. And so I urge you, go listen to that podcast because, she's going to have a lot more points about this than I will. And I feel like that's something that you might really resonate with. So the final cards here that we have to do with your intellectual pursuits. And for this, you have the Four of Pentacles reversed. I feel like intellectually you're at this point where nothing really has interested you long term. I feel like you have little things come by, little interests that come and go, but there's nothing that has really interested you long term. And because of that, it's kind of like, I feel like you just take in media. You take in TikTok, you take in YouTube, maybe some TV shows, but intellectually there's nothing that's really gotten you excited and made you want to pursue or read about or XYZ. With the Space card, I feel like a way that you could improve this area of your life is detach from YouTube, detach from TikTok, detach from social media, detach from Netflix and Hulu and all those other things, and just let yourself kind of sit and have no extra stimulation. And when you get home at the end of a long day, immediately your brain's going to want to jump to like, how can I just jump into Netflix? How can I numb my brain? If you truly want to improve your intellectual pursuits and how well worked your mind is, you have to find something that you truly are excited to learn about. Or with me, for example, I am somebody that I don't read super often, but I've recently gotten into 2 different series now that I have chewed through in a matter of like days. Like, I'm currently reading A Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. These books are super thick. I don't know if you know anything about them, but the audiobooks alone are like 45, 50 hours each, and I'm almost done with the second book. And so like I am chewing through these really fast, but it feels good. It feels good to have something that I'm that interested in and that passionate about. But if I sat on TikTok all day and didn't ever really like feel like I needed to reach out to something more, I probably wouldn't have found these. I probably wouldn't have picked up the books. So I urge you, maybe take a break from mind-numbing stuff. And I think that you can find intellectual pursuits online. There's a wealth of knowledge on YouTube if you want to learn about tarot, for example, or if you wanted to learn about quantum mechanics. You could do that online. But it's different if it's just scrolling through YouTube Shorts or scrolling through Instagram Reels or scrolling through TikToks over and over, and it's not really anything that interests you. So, pile 1. That is everything that I have for you. I know this was a bit of a longer reading, but I hope you enjoyed it. It was certainly a lot for me to bite off, but I hope that you feel like you actually have something that you can work towards when it comes to bettering and balancing your life. I hope that this reading helped you in any way, shape, or form, but that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, pile 2. If you chose the black tourmaline, then this is the reading for you. Now, as you can see, this card right here doesn't have a clarifier because that has to do with your career, and I get the sense that you're going to need more than one card because I feel like career-wise, that is the area of your life that needs the most help. So we're going to get to that last. Everything else looks really great. I think you have almost all the court cards. You have the King of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the King of Swords. You have the High Priestess. So a lot of your life seems to be doing really well, except emotionally, I feel like you need a little bit of help, and career, like I said, we're going to get more in depth into that. But starting off, I want to start with how you're doing emotionally. You have the Knight of Cups reversed here. I feel like you might have recently gone through a breakup, or if it wasn't as serious as a breakup, maybe you went through like a talking stage with somebody and it didn't work out, or there's maybe a feeling of like abandonment from somebody, or just a feeling of a little bit of unhappiness because of a relationship that didn't work out. And what I see with how to improve that, because I just get the sense that that's the thing that's kind of weighing you down the most. And it doesn't necessarily need to be because you put a lot of stock in emotional relationships. It could just be that, maybe things like this have happened before, and this is kind of like, really, this is happening again? Or, yeah, I thought I learned all the lessons that I needed to learn. Why does the universe keep doing this to me? I don't really have any info for you there at this point. That's not what this reading is about. But I do see that it's weighing you down emotionally right now. And the card that we have here about how to improve this, we have the Movement card. So it's quite literally telling you, move on. I'm not saying that your emotions here aren't valid, but, from what I can tell from your cards, what happened here happened for a reason. And I think a lot of the time we tend to look at things that didn't work out as, but it could have been so great. I don't think that this here could have been great. I think maybe you had a great first impression of this person. Maybe you had a great perspective of like who they were, what they looked like, and maybe you had a lot of dreams about how it could have worked out. But none of that was real. I feel like the cold hard truth is none of that was real. It was a lot of ideation, but I think that you truly didn't really know who this person was. And for whatever reason, the universe removed them from your life. And the best thing that you can do to improve emotionally is just keep moving. I'm not saying like just move on. I'm saying keep moving. Keep giving back to yourself, doing what makes you happy. I'm getting images of yoga for some reason, like physically moving your body, especially outside, being in the sunshine, maybe going on runs with friends, hanging out, outside. I'm also getting imagery of the beach. I feel like you're somebody that emotionally heals when you're in the sunshine. So I would say definitely go outside, get some sunshine. I'm filming this in spring, so the weather's getting warmer. I don't know when you're watching this, but I highly encourage you. I feel like going outside, go to a farmer's market, go hang out with friends, have a good time. This pain that you feel will start to dissolve and go away. And I want to say, if you want another reading about specifically this situation, why this might be happening, I encourage you, go to my shop. I have personal readings there, but I'm just not getting a lot of information from these two cards alone. So if that's something you're interested in, go check it out, but no pressure, only if you're interested. Now, what I see with the rest of your cards, like I said, these all seem to be doing very well. So starting with spiritually, you have the King of Cups. Now, the King of Cups is the height of the cups suit, which is the suit of emotion. It's also the suit of intuition. I feel like you're somebody that feels very in tune with your intuition, very in tune with your path, with your spirituality. You feel very confident that your spirit guides and the universe have your best intention at heart. And the card that we have here with how to improve, you have the energy card. So it's not necessarily that it needs improvement, but this is just, what's a little goal that you could set for yourself to feel even more in tune with it? I feel like with the energy card, I don't know if you're somebody that's into like witchcraft or practices of any kind. I also don't know what religion you specifically like or if you're even religious. But I would urge you, I'll give you an example for me, for example, and if this brings anything to mind, then hopefully it's done its job. For me, for instance, I'm not super religious, but I am a very spiritual person. And a practice, I guess you could call it, that I want to be more in tune with, especially like I said, because it's spring, the sun is coming out, is I want to start using the earth and nature more as to how I can cleanse myself. So ways that looks like could be swimming in the ocean, because fortunately I get to live near the ocean. When the sun is out, that symbolizes fire, sitting out under the sun, letting it cleanse me like that. Ow, I just hit my fucking funny bone. Ow! Oh my god, okay, sorry. Ugh, Jesus, where was I? Yes, water and fire, oh my god. Earth, it looks like, walking on the ground, being amongst nature, letting the earth cleanse you like that. Wind, I don't know, I'd probably use incense. But that would be my specific practice. It's very simple, but it's like, how can I let nature do the cleansing for me instead of actively seeking out with other means. So whatever practice that looks like for you, whatever helps you be in tune with, your energy, the universe, your intuition, maybe it looks like prayer for you. I don't know if you pray, but that could be it. I don't know. I feel like that kind of gives the vibe of the energy card. Something also that came to mind is tarot. Maybe you get into tarot or oracle cards. But anyways, moving on to the next one, we have how you're doing physically. With the Queen of Cups, gosh, like, I'm kind of envious. Like, the Queen of Cups seems like the height of confidence, the height of beauty. I think if I had to choose the most beautiful cards, not saying the other ones aren't beautiful, but I would say like the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands. I would say Queen of Wands is more attractiveness versus Queen of Cups is beauty. I feel like you are somebody that's very naturally beautiful, and even if you wouldn't consider yourself naturally beautiful, I feel like there's a level of confidence and self-assuredness that you have. You might be listening to this and you're like, what? I don't believe in that. But I feel like there is a way that you carry yourself and a certain level of physical confidence that I just get the sense that you're a very attractive person. Like there's not a lot that needs to be done here. But the card that we have here about how to improve, you have the isolation card. I think, and I told Pile 1 this, something that you could do to improve your self-image or how you feel physically is isolate away from social media, because I said in Pile 1, Instagram is literally built for people to curate exactly the image that they want to put out to the world. TikTok, the people that film those TikToks, film those thirst traps or those things that make them look gorgeous, I guarantee you they filmed that video so many times before they put it out. They probably have filters on, they probably have a little bit of editing on it, they are holding themselves at a specific angle that like you wouldn't see them in person. So I would say like isolate from that, especially if it's something that you see those people and it just makes you feel a little down. It's not doing you any favors, stay away from that kind of stuff. But I think in general, you're a very attractive person. Like physically, I feel like you look like you're looking great. You're also probably feeling pretty great. I think if you have started working out or started like doing more cardio, I urge you to keep doing that. That's actually a goal I have for myself, because I feel like my girlfriend wants to go rock climbing on Sunday, and last time we went rock climbing, I almost passed out. I was like huffing and puffing. Yeah, so I'm gonna probably be doing some cardio before we do that. But yeah, I urge you. It's good for everybody. It keeps us healthy. Go on those walks, especially if you live in a very scenic area or you have like hiking places near you. I urge you, go do that. It's good for you and it's good for the soul. Now, up next we have how you're doing socially. You have the King of Swords, and the King of Swords is great. Like I said, a lot of your cards are really great. Swords is the suit of communication and intellect, and with you having the king of this, I feel like you are somebody that you have the gift of gab. I think you're really good at just talking, of conversing. I feel like you have a healthy amount of socialization going on, and I also feel like you're somebody that doesn't have like a ton of fake people around you, or like you just don't really take a lot of BS from fake people. You just don't really want them around, so you save your important conversations, important hanging out time for those that really, deserve it. But I think with the card of how you can improve this, you have the Ghost card. I think if there are some people around you that are pissing you off, or like, coworkers, or just people that you're not really enjoying seeing, I don't really urge people to do this, but I would say give them a little bit of a cold shoulder. Like, you don't need to allow them into your space. If there's certain people or like family members or something who they're doing more harm than good and is not somebody you really want to be around, I urge you, like, you don't need to give them the time of day. And it doesn't mean that you're hating on them or yelling at them, but it's just like, okay, let them say their piece and then walk away. Or like if they're trying to get in your space, like just move in the other direction. But other than that, I feel like socially you're doing great. And finally, intellectually, your cards are so good. Oh my god. Like when I was getting these cards out, I was like, oh my god, their cards are so good. Like I felt a little jealous. But the High Priestess, she is the height of intuition. Like if I had to choose a card that had to deal with the strongest intuition, I would choose this card. I feel like you really follow your intuition with, what your mind wants to pursue, what you feel like the universe is trying to show you, what directions you're trying to go in. I'll give you an example of me personally. A few years ago, I felt very drawn to learning more about quantum mechanics. And so I kind of just allowed, I don't know if it might sound like gobbledygook to you, but like I kind of just allowed the universe to guide me in the direction of what kind of information to take in, which books to read, which videos to watch. And it ended up leading to like some other things that I got into. But what I'll say is I feel like you are the kind of person where maybe you're just following your intuition into what your intellectual pursuits are. Now, I will say that one area that you can improve this is the intention you have behind pursuing intellectual things. It's one thing to pursue things just because you're interested in them, and it's another to pursue them because you feel like you need to know more about specific areas so that you can be more confident in conversations, or so you can be a more well-rounded person. All of that's important, but it's also important that we have fun. And so with the Sweetness card here, I would urge you, have your intellectual pursuits, but have some of them be like, what's a fun intellectual pursuit that I can have? Like reading a fantasy novel, or Like, you know how fantasy novels, a lot of them have magic systems in them? Like maybe studying a magic system, because I don't know, maybe that's something that interests you. But I would say allow your intellectual pursuits to also be, little things that you find fun. All right, and like I said at the beginning, now we're getting into career. So I didn't do this for pile 1, but I'm doing it for you because it really seems like this is the area of life that would need the most attention from you. So career, let's go ahead and get out some cards of how can you improve career-wise, whether it's your perspective or like you're actually changing things about your career. How can pile 2 improve career-wise? Okay, so you got the success card, the peace card, the mystery card, the ghost card, and the death card. I feel like there's a lot of major change that needs to happen in your career. Because the 5 of Pentacles reversed has to do with, trying to get out of a hard spot. Like you haven't been getting the resources that you've needed. You feel like you haven't gotten the opportunities that you needed. Like certain paths that you've gone down haven't really been leading you in the best direction. And so now you're trying to say, okay, how can I turn this around? How can I start increasing the amount of opportunity that I get, the amount of resources that I get? How can I increase my abundance? And I feel like you've had this long streak of winter, financial winter, where you really haven't had all the resources you need and things haven't been working out in the way that you want. I feel like when I'm looking at these cards, you're going to be having, or you're needing to have, a swift departure away from where you previously were. I feel like the environment or whatever job it was or whatever career path, it was not a very good environment. It was not conducive to success or growth. And I don't know if this is something that you're already planning, but when I look at the death card, I look at somebody quitting. I look at somebody just point blank moving on. And with the ghost card, a lot of times people will put in like their 2 weeks notice, and that's more of like a convenience. That's something that you do to like maintain good ties with your employer if it's an employer that you care about, but it's not really, you don't have to do that. And when I look at the ghost card, I look at somebody that's leaving immediately. Like they are done with this shit. They are tired of putting up with this BS that maybe their boss has been putting them through, maybe their coworkers have been putting them through, maybe they haven't been appreciated enough, they feel like they haven't been paid enough, and it's just finally throwing your hands up and saying like, you don't even deserve a 2 weeks notice from me, I'm out of here. And with the mystery card, I feel like there's a lot of fear about like, where am I gonna go next? Am I going to find a place as good as that last place? And I want to tell you, that place was not good. Maybe it was adequate enough to like cover certain bills, but that was definitely bottom of the barrel. Like, don't cheat yourself and don't freak yourself out by being like, I don't know if I can have better. You deserve better, and I think you are fully capable of having better and also maintaining better. Like, I think you have the abilities to put yourself through, whatever kind of new job you want. I feel like you are highly capable. And I feel like you will find the right job for you or the right employer or the right opportunity. I see something coming in that just feels right. And with the peace card, it's like arriving at your new job and you're like, oh, this is what it's actually supposed to feel like. It's not supposed to be me getting yelled at 24/7, or, oh, it's not supposed to be me stressed out or having like these inappropriate or rude conversations with coworkers. Like, oh, people can actually treat themselves with decency and kindness and can allow people to be productive in their own way without mansplaining or like micromanaging. Like, you are just not accustomed to having an actual good work environment. You're used to, for so long, having this terrible work environment, and it's like a complete flip. Like, the peace card is like, oh, you're actually going to let me do my job? Thank God. And with the success card, it's just, you are going to go in so you're going to go so much higher than you ever would have at your old job. You will have so many more opportunities. There will be so much more for you to do. There will be so much more respect. Like, instead of people speaking over you, it's like they'll ask you a question and then they'll just wait and like really look and be like, and you're looking at them like, oh, you actually want to hear what I have to say? You actually care about my thoughts and what my opinions on this thing? I feel like the next job that you go to, you are going to be taken so seriously. It's going to be amazing. There's a lot of growth to be had, and I truly wish you the best in this. So pile 2, that is everything that I have for you. I really hope you enjoyed this reading, and I truly wish you the best in whatever direction that you pursue. But that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, pile 3. Last but certainly not least, if you chose the Labradorite, then this is the reading for you. And your cards look really great. Like, I feel like there's only a few areas that we kind of need to talk about. I feel like career, there is room for improvement. Emotionally, I feel like that side isn't really doing the best, but there's definitely work that can be done there. But the rest, like the rest being, spiritually, physically, socially, intellectually, these all seem really great. But I'm going to go ahead and do a quick rundown, and then I'll give you a few pointers and ways of improvement for those 2 areas that I talked about. Starting off with emotionally, you have the Lovers reversed. This could quite literally talk about a breakup, a breaking up between 2 lovers, or it could talk about like a friendship breakup, or maybe you had a big disagreement with a family member. It seems like somebody who is very close to you, things broke apart between the 2 of you, and I get a sense that it's taken a pretty big toll on you emotionally recently. What I see here with how you can improve emotionally, you have the Ghost card. This is telling me that the best thing that you can do for yourself is take time away from this person. I feel like that is the best way that you can heal. It doesn't mean that you're shoving this person away forever, but especially if you've recently gone through a breakup, the best thing that you can do is have no contact. And it's extremely, extremely difficult, but it's like trying to heal a wound, and like allowing this person back into your life and seeing them daily is like uncovering the wound and like slapping it and expecting it to heal. You need to wait for it to be fully healed before you can face this person, before you can even talk about having any kind of relationship with this person again, even if it's just a friendship. And so I think the best thing that you can do for yourself is have no contact, because truthfully, that is the best way to heal from these kinds of things. Like, point blank, if I had to say what's the best way to heal from a breakup, it's no contact. But it's also the last thing that our body wants. It's the last thing that we want. But it's what you have to do. It's the only way that you're going to heal. Or else it's like reopening the wound over and over and over again until you see them with somebody else. And then it's like, oh shoot, I haven't done any of the healing work, and now it's all crumbling down on me. I think distance is going to be the best thing for you. And like I said, if this is meant to be, it'll be. If you're meant to be back with this person, you'll be back with them. If it's meant to work out, it will work out. But right now, what you're needing is distance. It's not, allowing them over to hang out. It's not texting them to check in and be like, hey, how are you doing today? This relationship broke up for a reason. And the best thing that you can do is allow that breakup to be. Allow there to be some space. Allow that wound to heal. It's going to take time. It's going to suck. I heard something that said it takes double the amount of time that a relationship lasted for it to heal. So if you guys were together for 6 months, it's going to take a year to heal. And something that's going to slow down that healing time is seeing them or talking to them every day. That's just going to make it worse. That's just holding on, and it's not good for either of you. So I'll leave you with that. You have free will. You can do whatever you want, but that is Spirit's guidance for you on how to improve emotionally. Now, how to do spiritually. Like, there isn't even any room for improvement. Like, you're just doing great. I feel like you're somebody that has a very strong bond, a very strong faith in, whatever you believe in, whether it's the universe or God or angels or spirit guides, whatever it is. You have a very strong faith in your spirituality. You have very strong faith in that you're being protected, that everything happens for a reason. The room for improvement card that we have here is the confidence card. I feel like just being able to maintain confidence that the universe has your best intention at heart, that you are being guided in the right direction, that is what's gonna help you. But I'll say you're already at 100%. Like, there's always room for improvement, but you're doing great in this aspect of life. The next part that we have here is how you're doing physically. And you have the Empress card. To me, the Empress is somebody who is getting an adequate amount of sleep. She is somebody who is very healthy. When I look at the Empress, I think of somebody that's eating very healthy meals, maybe cooking for themselves a lot. Somebody that, like I said, is getting the perfect amount of sleep that they need. Somebody that is prioritizing self-care. Maybe you're somebody that cares about skincare, and so like you have a nightly routine. You stick to a schedule. It seems like physically you're doing great. The only room for improvement card that we have here is the Illumination card. And this is all about, like, when I look at the Illumination card, I literally think of sunshine. I think the only thing that could help you improve even more is just getting outside, sunbathing, making that vitamin D, walking around outside, like hiking. It seems like you're a very healthy person. It seems like you're doing great physically. So I'll leave it at that. The next part that we have here is your career. Now, this is the other area that I said could use a little bit of help. You have the Eight of Pentacles. Now, this shows me that there's an abundance of work for you to do. I don't know if you're self-employed or, a CEO, or you're somebody who's very high up, but I feel like there's always work to be done, and it's something that really fulfills you. It's something that you enjoy doing, but you can be a little bit of a workaholic. I feel like you might not have the best boundaries with your work. I'd encourage you to read a book. I've talked about it recently. I won't go super in depth about it, but it's called Being Where Your Feet Are, or something adjacent to that. I didn't even read the whole book. I only read the first chapter. I picked it up in Barnes & Noble for 30 minutes and read it for a little bit. And it really left a profound impact on me and my personal boundaries with work. Specifically, I used to constantly fret and be anxious about things to the point that I'd be laying in bed at 9 or 10 p.m. and I'd still be fretting over it. I'd still be anxious over it. And a boundary that I learned to set with myself is, okay, 8 p.m., once that passes, I'm no longer allowed to think about work. Just point blank. And so when that anxiety comes up, I shut it down and I say, this is my time to sleep. I'm not thinking about this right now. I'll think about it tomorrow. And over time, you kind of trick your body and your mind into thinking okay, once the clock hits 8, now we're in relaxation time. And so it'll take some time to get used to that, but eventually you'll get on that schedule of thinking that way. And something that the book talked about is having little things, whether it's walking across the threshold of your house or clocking out of work, or when you lock your car after you get home from a long day, whatever that little switch is, allow that to Pavlov you into thinking we're switching from work mode to home mode. Because sometimes we can be at home, we can be with our family, we can be having dinner together, we can be with our spouse, and we're a million miles away because we're still thinking about work. We're still thinking about those emails or what needs to get done tomorrow. It's time to start making boundaries between those things. You can continue to work very hard, you can continue to care about work, but you need to have boundaries between when work ends and life starts. Because if you don't, it's going to start to impact the relationships with others, it's going to impact your home life, and we don't want that to happen. And so the room for improvement card that we have here is fear. I would say you need to work on that fear of things falling apart as soon as your hands aren't on it, or this fear that your subordinates can't get things done. You need to have trust that there are positions in place that things will get accomplished. Especially if you're an entrepreneur or you've made your own business. The thing about those things is it feels like it's your baby. And the last thing that you want to do is hand it off to somebody that doesn't care as much as you. But you need to trust that it can stand on its own. It's kind of like having a kid and you have to trust that it can ride the bike on its own. You have to trust that it can go off and it can succeed on its own, even without you there. Learn to let go. Now, the next cards that we have here, how you're doing socially. You have the Six of Wands. So I think that you are doing really great socially. This card is all about confidence and enjoyment. I feel like you've got a solid group of friends. Maybe you see your family pretty frequently. I feel like you've got a solid social life. You feel confident in your social life. The only room for improvement that we have here is the Caution card. To me, this makes me think about evil eye. I feel like, especially if you're somebody that's doing really well in your career or doing really well in life, evil eye it's a spiritual thing that a lot of people, a lot of different cultures believe in. It's this idea that if there are people around you that are jealous or envious or spiteful towards you, that they can send evil eye your way. And it's essentially them sending their jealous energy and trying to bring about your downfall. I don't know how well you believe in it, but there is this caution card that says that there might be envious or jealous people around you who are seeing you succeed. And if you get a sense that there's just these people around you that maybe you get like a negative vibe from them when you're around them, or maybe it's a good friend, but they're kind of going through it, and every time you talk about something positive in your life, you see them kind of like shut down or like get a little bit quiet. I'd urge you to look into evil eye and how to cleanse it. I actually have a video on my channel. It's in a playlist called Spiritual Stuff, and it's all about, I think it's called Simple Yet Powerful Ways to Cleanse Yourself and Your Home. And there's an entire section in that about how to do an evil eye cleanse, also known as an egg cleanse or a limpia, depending on what culture it comes from. There's a lot of different cultures that do it, but it's a surefire way to cleanse yourself of evil eye if you feel like you're dealing with that. And then so finally what we have, these last two cards, is how you're doing intellectually. You have the Hermit card and the Cleanse card. When I look at the Hermit card, I see that you're putting a big emphasis on relaxation, and like when you have time alone, the last thing that you want to do is have your brain be busy. Like you're constantly busy, you're constantly doing other pursuits, and so when you have time alone, you just kind of want to sit in quiet and solitude and have decompression time. And I actually think that that is best for you. I think there's not a need to over intellectualize or continue to pursue more and more intellectual pursuits. I think actually to balance this area of life, we should be relaxing more. We should take that time to quiet our brain. Kind of an example this is making me think of is if you use TikTok a lot, like that is super overstimulating thing. So the way that you'd balance that is like, okay, let's have some time alone, away from the phone, maybe read a book or do anything other than have this high, fast-paced intake of information. I feel like on a daily basis, you take in a lot of information, you're very intellectually stimulated. So the last thing you need is more. So with the Room for Improvement card, we have the Cleanse card. You're already doing it. The best thing you can do for yourself is when you have those moments of quiet, moments of solitude, allow yourself to soak in the bath. You take a bath. Allow yourself to read a book. Or if you need to completely turn your brain off, do skincare. Do things with your hands. I've noticed that when I do things with my hands, it quiets my brain a lot because it's keeping my brain active while also not giving it much stimulation. So something that I like to do is I love cleaning leather boots. I have a really nice pair of cowboy boots. Every 3 months or so, I'll clean them, and it's nice to just work with your hands, cleaning something. Maybe you could do that in the form of cleaning your house or building something or working on something, tinkering. But yeah, that's what I'll give you. So pile 3, that is everything that I have for you. I really hope that you enjoyed this reading. I truly wish you the best in everything that you do, but that is all that I have. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.